Have you ever caught yourself wondering why some people seem to stay sharp, strong, and full of life well into their 90s while others seem to slow down much earlier? Maybe you've looked at someone walking down the street stooped but steady, eyes twinkling, and thought, how do they do it? What's their secret? You're not alone. That very question inspired a group of scientists to embark on a fascinating study involving over 3,000 people, all over the age of 95. Yes, 95. And the most incredible part? These folks weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Genetics? Luck? Maybe. But what the researchers found went much deeper than good genes. These people weren't superheroes. They didn't live on some magical mountain or eat some rare exotic fruit every morning. What they did every single day were small, practical things that you and I can do too. And that's what makes this so powerful. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 simple daily habits that these remarkable people all had in common. Not complicated routines or expensive solutions, just down-to-earth actions that had a profound impact on their health, energy, and longevity. If you've ever wanted to feel more vibrant, stay independent, or simply wake up each day with a little more spring in your step, you're going to love what we uncover. Let's start with the first habit that stood out in nearly every person studied. They all move their bodies daily, just not in the way you might think. We often hear about exercise, gyms, or long walks, and sure, those can be helpful. But these folks weren't logging miles on treadmills or lifting heavy weights. Instead, they moved in ways that were part of their everyday life. They gardened. They swept the floor. They danced while cooking. They walked to the local store. And perhaps most importantly, they never sat still for too long. It wasn't about intensity, it was about consistency. One 97-year-old man in the study said, "I've never gone a day without sweeping my front steps." That sounds small, but it's the small things done every day that matter most. Movement, even gentle movement, helps circulation, improves balance, keeps joints flexible, and boosts mood. So if you've been feeling stiff or low on energy, ask yourself, have I been moving today? Even a little stretch while watching TV or a short stroll after dinner can make a world of difference. And speaking of movement, let me share something you might find surprising. One woman, 101 years old, said she does her laundry by hand because it makes her feel alive. Not because she has to, but because she chooses to keep doing things herself. It's that kind of quiet determination that keeps the body strong. Not grand gestures, just a commitment to stay active in daily life. The second habit they all shared might seem even simpler, but it's just as important. They stayed connected. I'm not talking about social media or texting all day. I mean real, meaningful connections, conversations, laughter, a neighbor dropping by, a regular phone call with a friend or a sibling. Humans are wired to connect, and that doesn't stop after 60 or 90. One gentleman in the study, 96 years old, started every morning by walking next door to check on his childhood friend. "I just want to see that he's breathing," he joked. But the truth is, those visits gave both of them a reason to smile. Social connection boosts your immune system, protects your heart, and even helps your memory. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a silent thief. It steals joy, clarity, and motivation. You don't need a huge circle of friends or a busy social calendar. Even 1 or 2 meaningful relationships can nourish your spirit. Maybe you chat with the woman who sells fruit at the market. Maybe you call your grandchild just to hear about their day. Whatever it looks like for you, don't underestimate the power of being seen, heard, and loved. I remember one woman, 98 years old, who said the highlight of her week was knitting with her niece every Saturday. "It's not about the yarn," she said. "It's about knowing someone wants to sit with me." Isn't that beautiful? And isn't that something we can all make time for? Let's talk about the third habit, something many of us overlook in our day-to-day life, especially as we get older. It's what researchers called purposeful living. That doesn't mean chasing some grand career or volunteering 40 hours a week. It simply means waking up each morning with a reason to get out of bed. Whether it was feeding their dog, watering the flowers, writing in a journal, or praying at sunrise, every person in the study had some kind of daily ritual or responsibility that gave their life a gentle rhythm. Something that said, "This day matters. I matter." One participant, a retired teacher now 102 years old, spends every afternoon tutoring neighborhood kids with their reading. Not for money, not for applause, just because she loves it. She said, "It keeps my brain young and my heart full," and you can see it in her eyes. She still feels needed. That sense of purpose is like fuel for the soul. It lifts the fog from the mind and keeps you facing forward. You don't have to look far to find your own reason. Maybe it's a plant that needs watering, or a journal where you write one sentence a day. Maybe it's calling someone who needs encouragement, or even setting out your clothes the night before so tomorrow feels like something to look forward to. Purpose doesn't have to be loud. Often, it's quiet but steady, like a heartbeat, like hope. Now, I know this might all sound too good to be true. Move a little, talk to someone, have a reason to wake up, and somehow you feel better, live longer, smile more. But that's exactly what the science is showing us. Not big changes, not overnight transformations, just a handful of intentional habits, repeated with love and consistency. And so, as we reflect on what these incredible 95-plus-year-olds have taught us so far, I want you to think about your own rhythm, your own routines. What does your morning feel like? How do you move through your day? When's the last time you called someone just because? Because now that we've explored how daily movement, connection, and purpose quietly shape a long, joyful life, let's lean into another powerful secret these elders lived by. And this one might surprise you, because it's something we often take for granted, especially when life gets busy or repetitive. It's the way they nourished their minds every single day. Now, when you hear brain health, maybe you picture crossword puzzles or memory games, and yes, some did enjoy those. But for most of the 3,000 vibrant elders in the study, it wasn't about sitting down with a brain app. It was about curiosity. They stayed mentally active by staying interested in people, in stories, in learning. They were curious about life, even in their 90s and beyond. One man, 99 years old, started learning the guitar at age 91. Not because he wanted to be great at it, but because he said, "I want to know what it feels like to make music with my own hands." Another woman, 97, had a habit of reading one article from the newspaper every day and discussing it with her daughter over tea. That was her ritual, and it kept her sharp, thoughtful, and engaged. It's not about intelligence. It's about stimulation. Our brains love novelty. They crave challenge. When we give the mind something to chew on, whether it's learning a new recipe, watching a documentary, listening to a podcast, or even trying a new route on a walk, it responds. It lights up. It stays young. And the beauty is, you don't need to enroll in a course or buy fancy tools. Sometimes, all it takes is asking yourself, what's one new thing I can try today? That spirit of still growing was alive in every single one of these long-living elders. They didn't see aging as a decline, but as a deepening, a time to explore, reflect, and keep learning not just about the world, but about themselves. I remember reading about a woman, 95, who took up painting watercolors, specifically just because she liked the way the colors danced. She wasn't trying to become an artist. She just wanted to see the world in a new light. That's what kept her mind alive. That sense of wonder. That refusal to settle into boredom. So, I ask you, what's something new your mind might be hungry for? Could be a book, a language, a hobby, or even just journaling about your life's memories. You've got so much wisdom, and feeding your mind isn't just about staying sharp, it's about honoring that wisdom and giving it space to stretch. Now, let's talk about something that quietly but consistently showed up in this group of healthy 95-plus-year-olds, something that touches everything else. Their attitude. More specifically, the way they chose to see life even in tough times. You might call it optimism, resilience, gratitude. Whatever word you choose, it came down to one thing: they didn't let negativity lead the way. These weren't people who never struggled. In fact, many had endured war, loss, illness, heartbreak. But they didn't dwell there. They had a powerful habit of shifting their focus, of noticing what still worked, what still brought joy, even if their bodies weren't as fast or strong as they once were. One woman in the study, 96 years old, had severe arthritis in both hands. It hurt to grip things. She couldn't cook like she used to, but every morning, she sat on her porch, wrapped her fingers gently around a warm cup of tea, and watched the sunrise. She called it her gratitude moment. Just 10 minutes of stillness, warmth, and thankfulness for another day. That's it. And she swore it made her pain more bearable, her spirit lighter, her heart more open. These people didn't fake happiness. They cultivated it, bit by bit, day by day, through small choices. They laughed. They forgave. They let things go. And when asked what kept them going, almost all of them said something along the lines of, "I still find reasons to be thankful." That kind of attitude is like medicine. Real, measurable medicine. Studies show that people who practice gratitude regularly have lower stress, better sleep, stronger immunity, and yes, longer lives. It's not magic. It's mindset. So here's something you can try today. Before you sleep tonight, think of just one thing that made you smile. One person, one meal, one moment of beauty. Write it down, whisper it to yourself, or just hold it close. That's the beginning of a gratitude practice. Simple, gentle, and incredibly powerful. Let me share a little story. A man, 98 years old, had a photo of his late wife beside his bed. Every morning he'd say, "Thank you for loving me." Then he'd make his coffee, water his plants, and feed the birds. That was his routine. That was his rhythm. And in those small moments he found peace. He found purpose. He found life. You see, these elders didn't live long by accident. They lived with intention, with curiosity, with grace, and with gratitude. And that's something we can all begin, no matter our age. So as you move through your day, remember, staying sharp isn't about being perfect. It's about being engaged. Staying young at heart isn't about chasing youth, it's about choosing joy. And even in quiet moments, even in stillness, you can be growing, healing, and thriving. Because when you combine purposeful movement, meaningful connection, curiosity, and gratitude, you're not just living longer. You're living better. And that brings us to the final daily habit, the one that quietly ties all the others together like the last stitch in a warm, handmade quilt. The elders in the study all had a remarkable relationship with rest. Not just sleep, but rest. Deep, intentional, peaceful rest. Now, this isn't the kind of collapse on the couch after a long day rest. It's not about napping your way through the afternoon. What these vibrant elders had was a rhythm, a respect for their body's natural cycles. They went to bed around the same time each night, woke up without alarms, let themselves ease into the day without rushing. And most of all, they allowed themselves stillness. One 95-year-old man said something that struck me. He said, "I don't wake up and jump into my day. I greet it, slowly, like an old friend." He'd sit on the edge of the bed, take 3 deep breaths, and then rise. No phones, no news, just breath and silence. That's how he started his mornings. And he believed that moment, just a few quiet seconds, kept his heart calm and his mind clear. Scientists have found that consistent, high-quality sleep is a powerful predictor of longevity. But it's not just about the hours you sleep, it's about the quality of your rest. That includes allowing yourself moments of peace during the day. It includes putting your feet up without guilt. It includes turning off the noise, whether that's the TV, the news, or the inner critic in your own mind, and just being. These elders weren't lazy. In fact, they were some of the most productive people you'd meet. But they didn't push themselves to exhaustion. They didn't wear stress like a badge of honor. They honored the balance between doing and resting. And you can do the same. Maybe it's 5 minutes of stillness before lunch. Maybe it's reading a chapter of a book before bed, or sitting by the window with a cup of warm water, just listening to the birds. That is rest. That is healing. That is longevity. And you know what else? These people smiled a lot. Not the big, forced smiles, but the kind that shows up when you're at peace, when you're in rhythm with your own life, when you've given yourself permission to enjoy the small things. Let's take a breath together right now. Go ahead, inhale slowly, hold it, and let it out gently. Feels nice, doesn't it? Even that tiny act is something those elders might have done without even thinking, just part of their natural flow. And here's something beautiful. Almost all of them, when asked what they loved most about their day, mentioned something simple. Not a big event or a fancy achievement, but a quiet moment. A hug, a warm drink, the smell of the earth after rain. That's what they remembered. That's what they cherished. So many of us spend our later years looking back, wondering if we missed something. But what these elders teach us is that nothing is missing when you're present. When you move with purpose, love with depth, learn with curiosity, think with gratitude, and rest with intention, you have everything you need. Let's take a moment to look at where we've been together. No need to list anything or recap. Just feel it. The sense that you can choose how you move, how you connect, what you learn, how you see your day, how you rest. All of that your choice. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're not stuck. You're just one tiny habit away from a new rhythm. One cup of water in the morning. One slow breath before you rise. One conversation that makes you laugh. One page turned in a book. One step outside into the sunshine. And over time, these tiny choices add up to something profound. Something powerful. Something worth waking up for every single day. You don't need to be one of the 3,000 people in a scientific study, because you're writing your own story right now, and you get to decide how that story unfolds. You get to decide what the next chapter looks like. So if you're still here, listening, nodding, maybe even tearing up a little, that tells me something beautiful. Tells me you still care. You still hope. You still want to live fully. And that desire, that spark, it's enough. It's more than enough, because every single person who made it past 95 with joy and strength started with the same thing. The choice to begin. So go ahead, choose you. Choose today. Choose a small step. And when you wake up tomorrow, choose it again. And if this video gave you a little nudge or a warm feeling in your heart, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. What habit inspired you most? What's one thing you'll start doing today, just for you? Don't forget to like this video if it brought you peace or motivation. It helps others find it too. And if you want more videos like this about thriving, growing, and living well after 60, hit that subscribe button and stay with us. We're building something special here. A community of people who believe that aging isn't about decline, it's about rising into who we were always meant to be. So here's to you, to your quiet strength, your gentle courage, your beautiful, unstoppable heart. Here's to living your best life at any age. If you're still with me, then something in your heart knows the truth. It's never too late. Never too late to make a change. Never too late to feel better, to feel younger, to feel alive. And the elders from this study, these everyday heroes in their 90s and beyond, they are proof of that. They didn't live long because they chased youth. They lived long because they cherished life. Every quiet, ordinary, beautiful part of it. And that's the final thread running through all their habits, not just what they did, but how they felt about being alive. They didn't take it for granted. They saw each sunrise as a gift, each breath a blessing, and every challenge just another reason to keep going. One man, he was 100 years old, was asked, "What do you look forward to each day?" He paused and smiled, then said, "Breakfast. I love breakfast." The interviewer laughed, but he was serious. "It means I get another day, another cup of coffee, another chance to be kind to someone, another chance to be kind to myself." Isn't that something? Not a bucket list, not a $1 million dream, just breakfast. That's what longevity really is, not just more years in your life, but more life in your years. And that's something I hope you carry with you after watching this. That maybe the next time you open your eyes in the morning, You don't rush to the to-do list. You simply whisper, "Thank you. Thank you for this day. For this body, even if it aches. For this chance to begin again." You see, there's a kind of freedom that comes with age if we allow it. You no longer have to impress anyone. You don't need to keep up with trends or chase perfection. You get to simplify, to live on your terms, to let go of all the noise and just hold on to what matters. Peace, love, laughter, meaning, and presence. And if you've been struggling lately, if the days have felt heavy, if your health has felt uncertain, if loneliness has crept in, I want you to know something that maybe no one has said to you in a while. You're doing so well. You're still here. You're still trying. And that's more than enough. Truly. Start with one small thing from today's video. One habit. One shift. One little moment of self-care. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. With gentleness. With hope. With love. If the people in this study could begin at 80, 90, even 100, then so can you. You can stretch your legs. You can call a friend. You can write down one thing you're thankful for. You can take one deep breath before your first sip of tea. You can rest when you need to. You can wake up tomorrow and say, "Let's try again." And every time you do, you add something precious to your days, not just time, but meaning. Not just routine, but ritual. Not just habits, but healing. So take a moment now. Place a hand on your chest. Feel your heart. That's your reminder. You're still beating. You're still becoming. You are not finished. In fact, in many ways, the best part might just be beginning. You are the living proof that life doesn't end after 60 or 70 or even 90. And if you ever forget that, come back to this video. Let it remind you. Let us remind you, because you're not alone here. We are building a circle of strength. A family of hearts that refuse to fade quietly. We will age boldly. We will age kindly. We will age intentionally. And if this video stirred something in you, if it made you smile, made you think, made you feel less alone, I'd love for you to share your story in the comments. What's your secret? What daily habit keeps you feeling alive? Or what's one new thing you're inspired to try? Your voice matters here. Your experience, your wisdom, it could light someone else's path. So don't be shy. Speak up. Be heard. You've earned it. And of course, don't forget to like the video if it brought you comfort or inspiration. Subscribe if you'd like more videos that speak directly to the stage of life, this golden, sacred, powerful season. And finally, from my heart to yours, here's my prayer for you. May your steps be steady. May your heart stay open. May your days be gentle. And may you always know you are still growing, still worthy, still radiant. Here's to living not just longer but deeper, richer, freer. Here's to living your best life at any age.